Good day, this is Daniel Krisafi. Welcome to this fourth audio presentation, in this case the impact of exercise on immunity. Now before I talk about the impact of exercise on immunity per se, I'd like to talk about the general effects of exercise. Exercise, we know, of course, has a role to play in increasing muscular mass. It has a role for many reasons, the major role being that exercise causes micro damage to muscles and the body. To be able to compensate that micro damage will increase its muscle size, its muscle mass. It'll want to have more muscle to be able to deal with the level of stress, in this case the weight-bearing stress that you put on the muscles. Now, the important thing with muscle mass isn't just for bodybuilders or athletes. Everyone needs to have more muscle mass, and everyone needs it in part because the muscles keep the whole spine and all of our bones in place. But also because as we get older, we actually do lose muscle mass, and it is important to be able to exercise sufficiently to be able to maintain or to slow down the loss of that muscle mass. So exercise plays a role in maintaining or increasing muscle mass. It is extremely important in bone mass. We talk a lot about diet and other factors with bones, but research that was published in the United States in a exercise physiology journal showed that even though people were taking hormone replacement, they were taking calcium supplements, they were taking vitamin D, etc., those who did no exercise at all had very little or no improvement in bone mass compared to those who took those drugs or the supplements and did exercise, and even those who did not take medication and did not take calcium supplements but exercised still had a better increase in bone mass than those who took the medication, the supplements, and did no exercise. So exercise is vitally important for bone mass as well. Exercise increases the impact of serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter that helps sleep, to relax, to reduce the perception of pain. It reduces anxiety, it reduces depression. And we didn't know this in the past, but we now know that exercise, particularly muscular exercise, but also aerobic exercise, increases the production of serotonin in the body. Now we do know, of course, and most of us know, that exercise helps to control cholesterol levels and helps to control glycemia or blood sugar levels, which is very important. Reduces the risk of certain cancers, something we didn't know in the past, but exercise does reduce the risk of lung cancer, breast cancer, uterine cancer, and colon cancer. And exercise also reduces excess levels of cortisol, cortisol being the stress hormone. And that stress hormone, when it is in excess, can play major havoc on the body. Now, from an immune point of view, exercise does play a variety of roles, has a variety of effects. Exercise improves lymphatic circulation. Your lymphatic circulation is a circulatory system apart from your cardiovascular system. And it has many roles to play, but its major role is to transport bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, certain inflammatory compounds to processing units that we call lymph nodes. And those bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, etc., are broken down in lymph nodes to be able to be eliminated from the body. Now, the problem with the lymphatic system is it's not attached to the heart. It is independent of the circulatory system. And the only way to make it really move effectively is either through massage or through exercise. So exercise is really important for the lymphatic system. Exercise has also another impact that most people don't consider, and there's the fact that exercise creates an artificial fever. Now, we do know that we want people to increase their body temperature when they have an infection. The body does it on its own, actually. We call it a fever. And as long as the fever is not too high, most physicians today will tell you not to lower the fever, to let it work. It's doing its job. And when the body increases its body temperature, bacteria and viruses have more difficulty reproducing themselves. Well, talk to anybody who exercises, your body does get hotter. And exercise does create this artificial fever, which does help the body fight off bacteria and viruses as well. The other impact of exercise on the immune system is that we now know that when you expire, when you breathe out when you exercise, and you will breathe out more if you're exercising well, when you breathe out, you actually expulse or eliminate certain bacteria from your respiratory system much more quickly. So bacteria that might cause damage, that might play a role in infections, are expelled more quickly from the respiratory system when you exercise. So it's another interesting impact of exercise on the body. So what can we do? Well, there's a lot of exercises we can do. Any kind of sport you do would be a form of exercise. But the major exercises I want to talk about are basically cycling, walking, of course, whether it's on a treadmill, whether it's outside, etc. Don't run, or don't run in a sustained way. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But walking outside, walking on a treadmill, or walking on a mini trampoline. I do recommend mini trampolines a lot because they are extremely effective. They're inexpensive. We're talking about anywhere from $60 to $70 for a regular 36-inch or 1 meter mini trampoline. They have the advantage of giving in, so there's no stress on the ankles and knees and the lower back. For most people, the activity on the mini trampoline will be stationary walking, not jumping or dancing. The younger people might want to jump or dance, but as we get older, stationary walking is sufficient. And the mini trampoline has this advantage where 20 minutes on a mini trampoline has been shown to be as effective as an hour and a half on a treadmill when you're doing it at the same intensity. It's very, very effective, very cost-effective as well. Of course, resistance exercises are really important when we're talking about increasing muscle mass and even bone mass, and when we're talking about increasing immunity. Resistance can be your body weight, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, etc. It can be using elastic bands, which is one of the methods I recommend and encourage a lot. Weights, you can use machines, you can use ellipticals, Pilates, and rowing, which is an excellent form of exercise. The important thing if you do resistance exercise is that you work almost all, or not almost all, but you work most major muscle groups. And that's really important. Some people will say, well, I did curls today, or I did some push-ups. No, you want to work all major muscle groups, and that includes the legs, the back, the chest, or the pectoral muscles, the shoulders, and the arms. Those are your major muscle groups, and of course you want to work the core, the abdomen, and the back. If you only work one or two muscle groups, you're not getting that kind of lymphatic circulation you want, and that kind of impact you want for immunity, but also for bone mass and muscle mass. So working all the major muscle groups. But there are a few caveats here. Number one, when you exercise, you're causing stress on the body, a good stress, but a stress nevertheless. You're causing micro damage, and your body compensates by increasing muscle mass, bone mass, etc. But it can only do that during periods of recuperation, during periods of rest. So when you do exercise, give yourself time to rest and recuperate. If you do resistance exercises, do them 3 or 4 times a week, not more. Don't exercise if you have fever. Rest. Don't exercise. And when it comes to exercising, don't run unless it's running by interval. Sustained, continued, high-intensity running is a major negative stress on the body. Actually, I talk about that in my book in English called Syndrome S, on the impact of stress on the body. And I also refer to it in my French book, recent French book, Qu'en pense mon naturopathe, on exercise. Now, in both of those books, I also have some drawings and ideas of what kind of exercise you can do that will give you a full body workout very quickly, inexpensively, and with 3 basic exercises. If you know somebody who might be interested by these information bulletins, share them with that person. Encourage them to subscribe to our newsletter in order to receive them regularly. Encourage them to exercise. And thank you very much for listening.